favorite scary movie.
Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Stephen Ray, Antonio Banderas, Kirsten Dunst, and Christian Slater. Interview with the Vampire.
Interview with a Vampire is a very, very artsy vampire movie, kind of in the same vein as Bram Stoker's Dracula from Francis Ford Coppola. Come to find out in my research, this was one of the movies that inspired Interview with the Vampire. It is based on the book of the same name written by Anne Rice, and it tells the story of a man, well, vampire, named Louis, played by Brad Pitt. He is giving an interview to a reporter played by Christian Slater. Louis has been alive since roughly the mid 1800s. He was bitten by a vampire named Lestat, played by Tom Cruise, and basically Louis is a cursed immortal and cannot die. And so he gives this interview to Christian Slater's character, documenting his very, very toxic relationship with Lestat, his surrogate daughter, played by Kirsten Dunst, and subsequent relationship with a charismatic vampire circus owner, played by Antonio Banderas. This movie really came out during a really big time for not just Tom Cruise, but also Brad Pitt. And Tom Cruise is still pretty active today. Top Gun Maverick, the upcoming new Mission Impossible movie. He's still kicking, and Brad Pitt is still around too. However, Cruise has skyrocketed in terms of relevancy, and Brad Pitt, he's still around, but I would argue he's gotten a little more under the radar. It's not to speak for his talent or lack thereof. It just, when you make Top Gun Maverick, you tend to dominate the conversation a little bit. This movie shocked me in terms of its quality. I thought this was going to be rather pretentious, and in some ways it is very artsy to a bit of a fault, but that does not lack in the deeper themes and what director Neil Jordan was trying to go for. This movie makes being a vampire the most miserable existence you could ever ask for. Really, it kind of reminded me of this one film from Hammer Horror called The Satanic Rites of Dracula. If I can find the clip, I will play it. But it's where Peter Cushing's character talks about why Dracula does the things that he does and wants to bring about the apocalypse. Cushing's character, Abraham Van Helsing, says, among other things, he longs for a final peace and wants to bring the world down with him. That goes double for Interview with a Vampire, because you can tell that Louis, once upon a time, was a halfway decent person, but now that he is an immortal, it's like life is not fun anymore now, and he just straight up cannot die. And so he's just cursed to roam the earth for the rest of his days. And that just sounds like a very miserable existence. Not to mention the fact that he has been surrounded by some truly terrible individuals, chief among them being the aforementioned Lestat, played by Tom Cruise. This guy is an absolute asshole in this movie, like narcissist, completely gaslighting Louis and their sort of kind of daughter on multiple occasions. Really, I feel like this movie captures not just how vampirism just kind of sucks because you can't die, but basically you're like you just lose all of your humanity, and so any concept of right and wrong just becomes white noise, and figure out you never truly figure out what you're doing with your life. You're just there surviving, and it sounds horrible. This feels more like a horror drama than a pure horror. However, there are some generally unnerving scenes. Probably the one that got me the most was when Louis and the daughter end up, air quotes, killing Lestat and dumping his body into the swamps of Louisiana. Cut to some time later, and Lestat returns, and you see him playing the piano, but you just see his decayed form, and he gives this monologue about how he had to drain the blood of frogs and snakes from the swamp. And with the creature effects, I believe done by Stan Winston, I'll check myself and put it in the lower third if I'm wrong on that. But you can just see through how the movie is shot, where you just go, yeah, this guy's been through quite a bit. And really, it's just a race to the bottom with everyone involved in this movie. It's like, what are we gonna do? Die? It's like it's not a you only live once, you only live always. YOLA. This movie can be a bit long at times and can be a bit pretentious at times, but that does not stop the movie from feeling like it weighs on you. Like you feel the weight of life, not just on Louis, but also on yourself when you're watching it. I give this one a modest recommendation. It's not my favorite vampire movie, but in terms of capturing the pain of being a vampire, I don't think any movie has really come close than Interview with a Vampire.